Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Samtimetomorrow. So I stopped at the grocery store after dropping my daughter off at school, and I found some clearance meat. So we're going to be in the kitchen, and we're going to be doing some freezer meals. I have about 11 pounds of meat here that I got for $20. My goal is to get this done in about an hour, so will we succeed? I guess you'll have to come along with me and find out. We've all been there. Some nights we just don't feel like cooking, and it's a real struggle. I have a 5-year-old who always wants to play, always is talking, always asking questions. I love her dearly, but it can be a lot. And I also have a baby that's under 1 year old. So I'm doing this for myself and my family to avoid spending money on takeout or just eating junk food at home. My plan with this meat that I bought is to make beef meatballs, chicken meatballs, tacos, dinner tonight, which is going to be chicken fajitas, and a spoiler alert, I find sliced steak in the fridge that I decided to make into steak fajitas as well. So I want to get my vegetables prepped first. I'm getting my onions done. I know I need multiple onions for the meatballs, the fajitas, and I'm also just getting an extra onion cut up for a night in the future just to get one ahead. My mushrooms and peppers are already cut that I did from a previous night, and I'm doing this all before I start working with my raw meat. And I also get a bowl for my compost so that way it's off to the side and I don't have to worry about it. When making bulk freezer meals, it's really important to start with a plan so that way you can be organized, avoid using any extra dishes, and making the best use of your time. I also like to duplicate the meals I'm making so that way I'm getting the most bang for my buck. I started getting more serious about freezer meals before having my first daughter, and I found them very useful, just having a meal I could pop out of the freezer and have in the oven in no time. I see a lot of freezer meal preps that use a lot of casserole type dishes, and that's just not my family's jam, so with my videos you'll see things that aren't casserole based. I like to make meals that you just pop in the fridge overnight to let them to thaw, or you can leave them on the counter for the day, and they don't take up a lot of space in the fridge because my fridge is always a nightmare. Now I'm getting to work on my chicken meatballs, and the first thing I'm going to do is trim the meat, getting the extra fat off. When it comes to chicken meals, there are very few recipes I like reheated once the chicken has already been cooked once. I feel like the texture and the flavor changes when it's reheated, but I like the chicken meatballs whenever they're frozen and you heat them up for a second go-round. I think they make a good freezer meal. You can either use them in a pasta dish or use them as meatball subs. I like to grind my own chicken myself because I think it tastes better, it has a fresher flavor. The pre-ground chicken normally comes in 1-pound packages, so I find this more cost effective for bulk meal prep, and I think it just captures a better flavor of the chicken. Chicken meatballs came on my radar when I went to Disney for the first time many years ago. This predates having children. And my husband and I had this pizza with chicken meatballs on it. It was delicious. I believe it was a Wolfgang Puck restaurant, and we went there a few times once we discovered this pizza, and I became determined to make this pizza at home. More importantly, make the meatballs at home. The recipe is very simple. It's just ground chicken, Parmesan cheese, egg, garlic, breadcrumb, salt, and herbs of your choice. This is the first time that I'm actually adding basil to the recipe. I normally just do oregano, but I'm going to do basil and oregano this time, so I'm pretty sure it's going to be just fine. I will note that I have tried this recipe with onion in it before, and the flavor was just too overpowering, so I personally would not recommend onion in these meatballs. So I have one meatball mixture down. It's nice to have one thing checked off. I'm going to form these meatballs whenever I'm doing the beef meatballs, just so I can use it at the same time, use the same equipment, and not have to worry about extra dishes, and just trying to be more effective and efficient. On to the fajitas. Now, chicken fajitas is one of my favorites. I remember being a kid and requesting this on my birthday. It was my special birthday meal. So I'm starting by chopping up the meat and getting it seasoned ahead of time. This will give those seasonings a chance to really set in and give the chicken a deeper flavor. I like to use a fajita seasoning. The brand I'm using is Badia. I'm also using granulated garlic and chili powder. You'll soon learn that I love garlic and I like to put it in everything. And so far everyone in my family likes it, so it's all good. I didn't end up using all the chicken I bought, so with the extra raw chicken I'm just going to be cutting it down the center so that way the breasts are more manageable and easier to cook when I do use them, and I'm going to freeze them so they're already in grab-and-go portions that I'm going to be able to use for a meal for my family. These bags already have writing on them. I like to reuse the plastic bags if I didn't use raw meat in them, and these just had baby food in them. So I'm just going to label the bags telling me what's in them and the date that they've been put in the freezer. Now we're moving right along to the beef. I'm going to be doing meatballs and tacos with this, and I'm just going to portion out this meat between two containers, my skillet and my mixing bowl. And I want to make sure I have enough meat in the skillet that I can have 2 meals worth of tacos, and then the rest is just going to be made into meatballs, and however many it makes. I also need to get my rice started if I'm going to stay on time when it comes to having dinner on the table. I am making a Spanish rice. This recipe comes from my husband's grandma, with some meddling on my part to accommodate my family's flavor preferences.
I know on film it looks a bit chaotic, but bear with me, I am keeping it all on track. When I make my tacos, I like to add chili powder, garlic of course, and a mixture of onions and peppers that I have dried out in the cupboard. For my beef meatball recipe, I don't really follow a specific recipe. I like to add onions, garlic, egg to help bind it, and a mixture of breadcrumbs and oats. I also add milk because it helps just combine the mixture and make it a little more workable. And on top of that, I like to add some herbs and, of course, cheese. I normally like to add Parmesan cheese, but I did not feel like shredding up some Parmesan. I have it in a brick form. So I just found some Italian mixed cheese in the fridge that was already shredded and used that instead. When it comes to using meatballs in my freezer meal preps, I really like them because they're versatile. You can eat them as a sub sandwich, or you can put them in a pasta dish. Whenever I use them for subs, I normally just serve a frozen vegetable on the side and maybe some baked french fries from the oven. And for pasta, they're delicious on spaghetti and meatballs. I normally don't mind getting my hands messy in the kitchen. The sink's right beside me, so I can wash. I just end up with dry hands, but since I was mixing up so much raw meat, I decided to grab a pair of disposable gloves to mix up the chicken meatballs and then the beef meatballs, and then that way I didn't have to worry about scrubbing raw meat out from under my fingernails. I let the sofrito get a little dark in the pan, but that's alright because it just adds an extra depth of flavor, kind of like a bit of a smoky flavor. I'm adding a Goya seasoning packet to the pan and some tomato paste. You can use tomato sauce if you'd like. I just had this can in the fridge and I wanted to get it used. It works just the same. And I'm going to add water, get it to a boil, and then I'm going to add my rice in a bit. I really like making this rice. I think it's full of flavor, and in my opinion, it's very easy to make. I enjoy having tacos backed up in the freezer. It's one of those easy meals, and it's always a crowd pleaser. No one's ever complaining about tacos. I like prepping it ahead of time because that way I can put the rice and the meat in the same pan, and I'm barely dirtying any dishes whenever I cook it up again. And I just add some corn and lettuce to freshen it up. And if I didn't have to worry about cooking for other people and I was just cooking for myself, I could easily just eat tacos 3 nights a week. Tacos, taco salad, nachos. Tacos are one of my favorites. My favorite way to make meatballs is using an ice cream scoop. It really speeds up the process. It allows for more consistency in sizing. And speed and consistency is what I'm looking for when I'm cooking a lot of food at once. So I like to use the ice cream scoop to get the meat formed, get it on the tray that I'm going to be cooking it on, and then I like to go back and roll them so they're more circle shaped. My family will eat about 12 meatballs in one meal, so I was able to get 2 meals out of these meatballs for these chicken meatballs, and with the beef meatballs, I was able to get a total of 4 meals. So lately I've been really good about cooking. I've been writing out the meals I want to make. I've been trying to have the ingredients in the fridge the night before or prepped the night before so I don't stray from my plan. My family maybe goes out to eat once a week just to get a break outside the house and a break from cooking and a break from the dishes. Just having a bit of that wiggle room. But I want to get these freezer meals made because I know nicer weather is approaching. We've already had some really nice days. And when it's nice out, me and my daughter, we want to be outside. We want to be enjoying the weather. We want to be in the garden. We want to be playing. And having these meals as a safety net, make sure my family's eating healthy, at least eating home-cooked food from scratch, and it feels good not spending extra money. My steak fajitas, I'm going to season it the same way I do my chicken fajitas. My meatballs are done, so I'm pulling them out of the oven. I'm going to let them cool on the kitchen table. And I did have some leftover meatball mixture, and I was debating just freezing it in raw form, but I decided may as well cook it. The oven's hot, and that way I don't have to worry about the grease seeping into my sauce if I were to cook it in the crock pot, which is what I was thinking I was going to do. The taco meat is done, so I'm putting that in a bowl to let it cool down. I am getting the chicken started and putting that on the stove for my fajitas, and then adding all the yummy goodies. To me, what makes the fajitas the best thing. All the vegetables you get to add to it, the onions, the peppers, the mushrooms, they are my trifecta to me. If all I had to eat were mushrooms, peppers, and onions, I think I'd be alright. They are my favorite. I put them in everything, and they're so versatile. My rice is done. The fajitas are nearly done. You add vegetables to anything, and it makes it more beautiful because it just adds so much vibrancy. Next, I'm just cutting up the avocado. My daughter likes to eat avocado all by itself, so that's what I'm doing for her. And for me, I am adding a little bit of salt, pepper, and garlic and just mashing it up because I'm calling this, I'm tired and I'm ready to eat avocado guacamole. And now it's time to make my fajita. Guys, I'm watching this and I'm doing post-editing, so the fajitas are long gone and I just want fajitas again. I like to add guacamole, peppers, mushrooms, onions. I like it all. And of course cheese, and I put some rice in my wrap. And then I'm going to finish it off with some lettuce. Alright, it's all finished. It took about an hour and a half. Dinner's ready, so I'm going to go eat with my family. Alright, here it is, the final tally. We have a lunch for me and my daughter, steak fajitas. I have a lunch for me for work, chicken fajitas. I have 2 taco meals. I have 4 meals of beef meatballs. I have 2 meals of chicken meatballs. And just a side of rice that's extra. I got a shower. The kitchen is clean. I have to get up at 2 a.m. because I work at 3 a.m. So, can't ask for more than that. A bunch of meals in the freezer, and the kitchen's clean. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope to do more in the future, and if you like it, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. If you want to see more from me in the future, go ahead and subscribe. Thank you.